Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Labossiere, and this is the guide to PHI 2010 HB 501-2208, Introduction to Philosophy, the Canvas tour. Now, once you get into Canvas, you'll see something like this, although yours will look a bit differently, and also I've got this into student view, so you won't see this purple thing. So, what's in the course? So going through the modules, so this is sort of the landing page. If you go to home, here's the content and a brief explanation of each thing in the course. In the Canvas guides, this is a link to getting started with Canvas. So if you're new to Canvas or want a refresher and click on this, this will take you to a guide to Canvas. This is, well, will be this video. This is also a guide to the quiz content. The syllabus is here. There's a generic video on the syllabus where you can go and listen to me talk about the syllabus, which is every bit as exciting as it sounds, I assure you. There's also the syllabus in PDF format, and of course it's the syllabus. It lists all the stuff that's going on in the course, policies, procedures, all that exciting stuff. And then there's the syllabus quiz, because it relates to the syllabus. And I'll say more about the quizzes later. There's also more information about the quizzes in the exciting syllabus video. Since, of course, because of the pandemic, meeting people in person is a terrible idea, I'll have a virtual office hour, and this says how to sign up for it. And you can do Zoom office hours because Zoom is lots of fun. But we all probably have a lot of practice with Zoom at this point. Now the course documents. There's the explanation as to what's going on here, and here's the documents for the course. Good news is, aside from paying that tuition, etc., there's nothing to buy for the course. So here are the readings, and it's in PDF format, and it contains all the readings. And the reason why it's free is because it includes readings from the public domain. When someone's been dead quite a while, their work goes into public domain, unless of course they are still alive and say put in the public domain. And so we have works of people like our good dead friend Descartes, Plato, etc., and they're super dead, so their works are, in the translations of them, at least older ones, are free. So rather than having you spend lots of money on a book, here's a free PDF. There's also a complete set of notes that cover everything from day one to the end. And here's the guide to the paper, which walks you through step by step how to do the paper for the course. And there's also the PowerPoint, the slides for the course, if you happen to like clicking through PowerPoints, and who doesn't? Now, in terms of like the content-y stuff, the readings are, of course, the most detailed. The notes are an outline of the readings, and the PowerPoints are an outline, super chopped down outline of the notes. Now, anything that's in the notes can be on the quizzes and exams. And so the PowerPoints, they're really cut down versions of the notes, and so there's a lot of stuff in the notes that's not in the PowerPoint. So when preparing for the test, a PowerPoint's a good review because it hits kind of the main points, but just because something's not in a PowerPoint doesn't mean that it's not in the notes, and doesn't mean it's not on a test or a quiz. Also, grade estimators, which figure in primarily near the end of the semester when you're deciding whether you need to take the final or not. There's a Google Sheets grade estimator if you use the Google Sheets, and there's an Excel grade estimator in case you use the Excel. And as a FAMU student, you get Office, for Mac or PC, for free. Well, as part of all the tuition you pay, etc. So kind of free-ish. And these include full instructions on how to use them. Essentially what they're used for is to see near the end of the semester. Of course, you can do this any time. You can punch in your grades and see if the final would help you at all. Also have a letters of recommendation guide in case you want one of those things. Now I have, during the summer, because of the pandemic, I recorded the entire course. And I have a playlist on YouTube, like all the cool people have YouTube playlists. And this has every single video, but it's a playlist going beginning to end. And we'll see in a bit, I've also got it organized by class. Here are some resources. Here's the library. Gale Academic 1 file, nothing to do with the class, I just put that in there because it was available. And New Analytics, also resources, well, just in case. Now, I organized the class as a standard class. Back in the before time when we could meet in person, this class would be a hybrid class, meeting every other week and then having a virtual class, when we weren't meeting in person. But I've organized the class, on the same setup. And there's a total of 15 classes, excluding the final, that would be, number 16. And it's broken up into part 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each part, except for the last one, has 4 classes. And in terms of going through the class, you can essentially learn at your own pace if you wish. You can follow the normal process, one class per week. Or if you want to, speed through it, all the stuff is there. There's, of course, a risk of speeding through it because things can go terribly wrong. But here's how the, class by class works. So if we go to part 1, class 1, and click on it, and wait a bit for it to do its thing, what there'll be for each virtual class is, things saying this is the content for, in this case, the first class. Now this one has the files because in a standard first class, if we met in person in the before time, I would say, here's the stuff to get, here's the syllabus, etc. And these are the same files that you could get from, back at home, but just in a convenient place. And for each, bit of content, over the summer, I created YouTube videos and did them in my home office by myself. And so you can expect there will not be any Academy Awards or Oscars for these. But hey, maybe it'll be a new category, best philosophy video during a pandemic. So the videos cover each stuff in order, and they're designed to be, 10 to 25 minutes. And one thing that's really good compared to in-person interaction is you can mute it, which is good. Reality would be good with that feature. And of course you can, zip ahead or pause and replay stuff. And so if, something's getting kind of, dull and you're like, wow, this is not interesting, you can kind of skip ahead. Or if something is, you're looking at it and it's like, oh, that's pretty complicated, let's go back and look at that again. And so obviously these are videos and they can do that video stuff. And they're designed to be, kind of manageable, 10 to 25 minutes. And they go in order. Like here's the syllabus, then, the videos in order for this class. And then the classes will have, most of them will have some work to do for that class, such as in this case, the Argument Basics Assessment Instrument Pretest, which is an assessment thing to see your argument skills at the start before you've taken the class, the quiz for the syllabus, and the first quiz. And you can, of course, use this button to go to the next class, and then it will load up. In this case, you got the videos for that particular class, again in order with a title for each one, and then any work that's associated with that class. And of course, you can keep on clicking through the whole class. Now back to home. So that's the class-by-class approach. This is the summer 2020 class-by-class, so if you wanted to go back in time and take it, summer style, this is the structure for that. But this is the one we're doing now. Now also what you can do is if you don't want to go class by class and you just want to get into getting the work done, here are the quizzes for part 1, and when you fire up a quiz, you can click on it safely to get to it, and it will say, when it's due, how many points it's worth. They're all worth 5. How many questions? Always 5. How long it's available, and the time limit. So once you fire it up, you have this long to complete it. And the timer starts ticking away. To use an analogy, back in the before time when you could go to movies, if you're in a movie theater and the movie starts, the movie keeps playing even if you leave. So it's not like Netflix where you can pause it. So once you start the quiz, it keeps on ticking away. But until you start it, of course, it doesn't obviously start it. So you can see what a quiz is about before starting it. Heading back to home, So there's the quizzes by part, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and there's also in part 4, there'll be the assessment stuff. A STAR survey, which is our assessment for philosophy and religion, and a GX survey quiz. But I'll say more about those later in the semester. For the exams, there's 4 exams plus a final. Each one corresponds to the part. So the course is broken into, there's more of this on the syllabus stuff, but the course is broken into 4 parts. Each part has its own set of quizzes, and each part has its own exam, plus the final that covers everything. So exams similar to the quizzes. You can click on one, see what it says about it, and then it's got when it's due, it's got the point value, number of questions, when it's available, time limit, etc. And so same for the exams for all 4 of them, plus the final. Here's information for the paper. Here's the PDF guide to the paper that walks you through step by step. Here's the video on the paper draft. Here's the video, the intro paper guide, which goes through the entire paper step by step in video format. And this is a video on the paper word count and style. And then a video on the paper deadlines. There's also a draft and plagiarism check guide, which says what they are. Now, the ungraded plagiarism check is exactly what it sounds like. I don't look at it, it's ungraded, doesn't count for you or against you. It lets you check your paper to see how it scores on the plagiarism check. So to run things through to make sure everything is properly cited, etc. There's also the ungraded draft. Since all classes are virtual now, there's we don't meet in person, so I don't want to, obviously, we don't want to be touching stuff that other people have touched, and so the draft is turned in this way. The draft is ungraded in the sense that you don't get a grade for the draft itself. You'll get a score on it, so you know how you're doing, but this doesn't hurt your grade or help it. To get the actual grade on the paper, that is, say, one that counts, there are the 3 deadlines. If it's turned in on time, you get the +5 to your grade. Again, more about this in the syllabus. If you get in by emergency deadline, normal score, and then there's the desperation deadline. For assessment is like a big thing these days. We got the pre-test, the post-test, to see how you do with arguments. The assessment stuff only helps your actual grade in the course, because its objective is not to, hurt your grade because you don't know this stuff at the beginning. The whole objective is to see what you were doing when you came into the course and what you did when you finished the course, to assess not you, but to assess the course. And there's also 2 surveys I'll say more about later, all part of that assessment stuff. I also have older videos from summer 2015 and summer 2018, and they're just recorded in the classroom. Same content, it's just if you want to get the illusion of what it used to look like back when classes were in person. So that is the home. There'll also be announcements. I'll do those pretty regularly, of course. That way you always know what's going on in the course. Even though, of course, we're in the pandemic age, I'll be keeping everybody updated about when stuff is due, what's going on, etc. Here's slowly loading all the assignments for the course, and this is just, as you can see, they're all kind of mixed together. So this is just all the assignments that are in there. So it's better to usually go through the home. Discussions, these will be your grades, people in the class. This is a list of all the pages. And again, it's just all the pages, so it's not super organized. Here are the files, if you want to just go directly to files. But again, I've got them put in the modules for better organization. Here's the syllabus, which lists, this is actually pretty handy, because it lists like all the stuff, and when it's due, and gives you a direct link to it. So if you're ever wondering what's going on, what are the deadlines, what's due, the thing to do is go to the syllabus, and there's all the stuff, which is pretty handy. Quizzes, these are all the quizzes and exams. Again, they're not in any particular great order. It's better to go to the home to get this stuff. Then there's conferences, collaborations, chat, Office 365, and other stuff, which I'm not going to do a lot with that. So that's the course navigation stuff. And if you have any questions about the layout of the course, certainly contact me, and I'll do my best to assist you in that. So that concludes the virtual tour of Introduction to Philosophy fall version. So stay safe, and I'll see you in the future.